Tres. Ya.
Okay, so I put up, this is Will Moss. I put up a popular video talking about my Lamborghini, how much the monthly payment was, because I financed it when I bought it. The monthly payment was $1,100 a month, and I showed the actual statement, and there was a balance of $100,000 on the statement, and the monthly payment was $1,100. So I got a lot of people saying I couldn't afford it. I got a lot of people saying it's stupid to finance it because you have to pay interest, and a lot of comments like that. So what I want to do in this video is basically show you why it makes sense to finance either a depreciating asset or something that's not going to rise in value a lot, why it made sense to me to finance it. So let's take some numbers. For example, I'm in my office right now. Shout out to hbcuconnect.com. Check it out. But okay, so to squash the myth that I can't afford the car, let's just put it this way: I can afford the car. Now I'm going to use some numbers. These are not necessarily my personal numbers, but for let's say to justify having a car like this, let's say you have $1 million, right? And let's say you have that $1 million in the bank. So you got, you can ignore this stuff I have up here because this is stuff I do for business. But let's say you got $1 million in the bank, right? And in the bank, I don't know what the current interest rates are in the bank, but they're low. If you got this money in a bank account, you're probably earning, let's say, I think no more than 1% interest in a year. So let's say you got $1 million sitting in the bank for a year, and you're making 1% interest in a savings account, and you net, what is 1%? $10,000, right? But but you're smart. Let's say you didn't win that $1 million in the lottery. You earned that $1 million doing business or investing or whatever. So you're smart, right? So you don't want to have your $1 million sitting in a bank account making 1% interest. You want to have the money invested in something that's going to give you a high rate of return. So for me, I like real estate. So let's say if it's me, I'm going to take, and I'm ready, because I got $1 million now, I'm ready to buy my dream car, which is the Lamborghini we talked about. So let's say, however, you want to invest a portion of this money in the real estate. Now, in my personal experience, I'm in Columbus, Ohio. I'm going to say we invest $800,000 of this $1 million. My personal experience doing flips in real estate and doing rentals in real estate, you can get pretty high returns, at least where I am. But I'm going to use a conservative number. Let's say you're able to get a 10% return investing in real estate with rental properties. So 10% of $800,000 every year is $80,000. And this is net return. This is not gross. Your net on the rental properties with this kind of money is more than 10%. I mean, your gross is more than 10%. So let's say you invested, you took your money out of the bank account, or you took 80% of your money, you invested it in real estate, and you're getting a 10% return. So now instead of making $10,000 a month or a year, you're making $80,000 a year because you got your money invested in real estate. But you got $200,000 left over, right? So you got $200,000 in your bank account. That's still only making 1%. So you're making $2,000 a year, which is nothing, right? But it's good to have some cash. Like a lot of people were saying, you should have cash or whatever in the bank. It's good to have some cash in the bank. So, but you're ready to buy your dream car, right? You're ready to buy your Lamborghini. So you got two options. Your Lamborghini is gonna cost $100,000. So let's say it's time for the car, and it's gonna be $100,000, right? So you're gonna keep $100,000 in the bank, cash, in case of an emergency, or whatever. You got some business stuff going on. You might need the cash for whatever happens. So now you're making 1% on that. You're making only $1,000 a year. So you keep this in cash, right? Now you got $100,000. So you're faced with the decision to make. Do you take this $100,000 and buy the car in cash? Which is what a lot of people are saying. Take your $100,000, buy the Lamborghini in cash, and you don't have to pay interest. But guess what? When you own real estate and you get a loan against that real estate, you can get a low interest rate, and you can write that interest off. Like on a home equity loan, you can write the interest off on your taxes. So you're really paying less than that interest. So let's see. You can get a loan and pay. Let's say if you get a loan on this, you'll pay, let's say, 3% interest if you have good credit and you loan against your real estate to pay for this car. So you're going to be paying minus $3,000 a year in interest if you get a loan. Now, let's say you pay cash, you don't pay any of that. But you got investments where you're making 10% return on your money. So let's say you invested $100,000 and you get 10% on that. So you can make $10,000 a year, right? If you get a loan, you pay $3,000. You invest that $100,000, you can get $10,000. So my argument was, get a loan, pay the banks $3,000 annually, potentially pay the banks $3,000 annually, invest my $100,000, and then make $10,000. So I'm netting $7,000 a year, and I'm carrying this loan to drive the car I want, but I'm still making money off of my $100,000. Now, if I took this 100 grand and I just bought the car in cash, you got $100,000 of your money sitting in a car that may or may not appreciate. It's a Lamborghini, it could go up. Optimistically, maybe you gain $3,000 in 5 years, but what is that? Or let's say you pay it off in cash, and what do you gain while you're driving that Lamborghini? You're not gaining any interest. You're not gaining any return on your $100,000 by driving that Lamborghini. So me personally, I prefer to take my 100 grand, borrow from the bank, pay the bank the interest rate, invest my 100 grand, get 10,000 a year, subtract the interest I pay the bank, and I'm making 7 grand, and I'm still driving a Lamborghini. I'm only going to drive it maybe 2-3 years max, and then I'm going to get rid of it. It's a luxury. But in the meantime, I still have my money and my credit working for me, and I'm making money. If I paid that car off with cash, I'm not making anything. I'm not making anything on 100 grand, and to me, that's stupid. That's like for somebody who wants to show off and say, I paid for a Lamborghini in cash. Now, do I own other cars that are paid off in cash? Yes, but they're like, runaround cars that cost less than 50 grand. Less than, most of them are less than 30 grand actually that I own in cash. So that's lower dollar amounts. I'm not taking, those don't affect me. The other thing is, we're talking about rental property returns. If I have this $100,000 that I would have put into the car readily available to me, I can use that money for flips. I can use that money for rentals. If I'm flipping on 100 grand, the return in a year could be, instead of 7,000, it could be 50 grand, and that's real. So that's why I was saying in my other video, it's smarter to leverage your credit for a luxury toy like this, make money, versus sticking your money in something that's not going to earn any money just to have it. That's stupid. So now, a lot of people are going to argue with me, and we can argue about it, but you choose. You know what I'm saying? If you have $1 million, what are you going to do with it? You're going to buy, and if you want to have a nice car or whatever, you're going to buy it cash when you know how to make more return than what you would be paying into a bank? Does that make sense? I don't know. So this is my argument for why it makes more sense to finance a toy like that as opposed to paying for it in cash. Now, I told a lot of you that I already paid the car off, because initially I got a car loan. Their interest rate was higher, but what I did is I used equity in my real estate and I paid the car loan off so that I have a lower interest rate that I'm writing off on my taxes. So, but if you really look at it, you're leveraging your credit and you're leveraging your assets and your cash in those assets. That's essentially what I'm doing. But I don't mind paying the bank this in order to use my money to make that or that. That's essentially what it is. So now, there you go. I don't know how easier it can get than that. Now, if you have bad credit, yeah, you might have this may be your only option. But if you got good credit, you can do all of this. So that's the lesson for the day. Holla.